Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus Anti-Gladiator today with Hero Works. Technically it'll fall under character creation, but this is the Descent Journeys in the Dark build your own hero mode. This is on the product document archive for Fantasy Flight Games, and it gives you a way to fill in the blanks of, what kind of hero characters you would make for the game. They're not going to be nearly as powerful as some of the characters, but at least it'll be your own custom design. So first off, you're going to have to choose a race. Honestly, though, there's a certain order to this that actually makes a lot more sense. But we're going to go with the order that's featured in uh, the document. So there's humans and orcs, as featured in characters such as Runemaster Thorn and Bogger in the Shadow. They'll start out at 12 wounds, 4 fatigue, 1 armor, and 4 speed. And they'll have 12 build points to work with, which I will track with threat for the time being. So they'll have that many points to affect their attributes or traits. Attributes actually make sense because trait dice kind of weird. It'll affect if you're on a weird point of the conquest value chart, you'll be able to either spend points to be at a lesser conquest value or gain points by being at a higher conquest value. It'll also determine skills, trait dice, and whatever build points you have left, your special ability. There's at least 15 different abilities to choose from. There's another page too, it's buried though. And then you'll take your figured out character and put them in your own little card you get to fill out. So that is coming from the last page. Notice that these are a bit smaller. This is the result of me printing this out of the library. But this works out better because I can fit it into a oversized card sleeve. So yeah, there's where was I in this mess? Let's see here. So yeah, humans fairly basic, but pretty good build points. And we have bestial types like steel horns. They start out at 16 wounds, 4 fatigue, no armor, and 4 speed. Dwarfs, like Brother Glitter, start out at 8 wounds, 5 fatigue, 2 armor, and 3 speed, but only 10 build points. You still start at 10 build points as well. Elves, such as adventurous, start at 8 wounds, 4 fatigue, 1 armor, and 5 speed, and 10 build points. And finally, there's Nimble. I'm not sure who counts as Nimble, but they represent uh, pixies and halflings and such. Uh, they'll have like 8 wounds, 5 fatigue, 0 armor, and 4 speed. But they'll have 15 build points to work with. Now, the characters won't be as powerful as the characters featured in the game, but at least it's your idea. But if you try to compare the characters that are featured with the the rules here, you're going to realize that it would mean certain hero abilities are effectively negative build points. That's how powerful some the normal characters are. But so that's the price you pay for customization. So let's create an all right, let's determine what character I want to create. If you decide to create multiple characters, each one is going to need a unique ability and that no other character in that team is going to have. So let's start out with Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator. So just while I'm working on figuring out the points and everything. Yeah, have some wet erase markers, which is why I wanted to be able to put them into a card sleeve. So at the very least, we can kind of fill that out. There we go. Even make a character of my usual skull-faced self. This is probably like the one kind of. I'm usually not big on fantasy settings all that much, but the whole Terranoth setting for Descent and Runebound is one of the few that I genuinely like. Of course, because this is fantasy, I don't really have all that much of the cybernetic stuff that I should have. But I guess in a kind of almost animated golem type thing made of bones and metal and stuff. Maybe there's that potential. Yeah, it's me. All right, so Pillar Nexus is going to fit under. Let's see. Let's think about. If I go back into like the lore that I had in mind with my character, um, of the setting Pandemonium. Yeah, if you go back and watch the whole Pandemonium thing, that's actually supposed to be where this character is supposed to come from. Born of the elements, corrupted by the Decimatrix, put on the path to go through time and space and end up in various things. So let's say they are technically human-like. So we're going to use the human base. So 12, 4, 1, 4. And then we got 12 points to work with. Right away, right away. 6 points of it are going to be set aside for one of each trait die and one of each skill. I want to do this right now so that you know what you're going to have to work with. Now, this generalization is cheap. If you're trying to specialize, it's going to take basically all the remaining build points. So let's go ahead and skip to that step. Decide whether you want to generalize or you want to specialize or just fully dedicate yourself to something. The same thing goes for the skill cards as well. Either one of each, or two of one of another, or three of one thing. If you generalize, it's 3 points. If you semi-specialize, this is where 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that's 4 points. If you go all in on something, that's 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. And if you do it for both, that's 12. So we're going to, we'll say Pillar Nexus is a ultra generalist kind of character. I mean, I'm kind of indecisive and kind of fickle about my own direction in life, so it's not too far off. So for the time being, 6 points are reserved for trade dice and skills. So that leaves 6 other points I have to work with for now. So you can modify your traits with certain restrictions. You cannot reduce your health below 8. When you raise or lower your health, it is in groups of 4. And you can only raise or lower something by one step. So with a human, you could have 8 health, 12, or 16. I could have 3, 4, or 5 fatigue. I could have 0, 1, or 2 armor, and I could have 3, 4, or 5 speed. The more traits you raise than lower, the more it'll cost you your build points. But if you lower traits instead of raising them, or lower more than you raise, you'll get points. So if it's by, so if the difference between what you raise and what you lower is 1, then it's a build point in that direction, or in the effective opposite direction. Because if you lower traits, you'll get build points. By If it's by 2, then you get 3. Then it's 3 points. And if it's by 3, you get 6 points. If it's by 4, it's 10 points. So I could take all the stats down. I could go 8, 3, 0, 3 and get an extra 10 build points. So let's think about Pillar Nexus. Pillar's probably gonna Pillar's good at taking punishment, like pretty well. We'll leave the armor at 1. We'll increase health by 4. However, asthma and age are not really on his side. So less fatigue, less speed. Let's remember what the stats are, what the stats do. Health is your ability to actually take damage. Fatigue gives you options with things that trigger off with fatigue. but also you can spend them for extra movement points, even if you wouldn't normally get any from an action. Or you can spend fatigue to gain power dice. Power dice are limited to 5 per attack. You will automatically get them if the attack you are doing matches the trait of the weapon. So if you're using a melee weapon and you have 3 dice in that, you'll get the 3 dice immediately. And then spend 2 fatigue and max out the power dice. Armor. When someone rolls damage against you, it's reduced by that much. They have to exceed your armor to do any damage. It's entirely possible to have the range to hit somebody and not do enough damage to actually hurt them. And finally, speed. Speed is how you move on the map. It's one space and direction. So high health, high armor is going to be a tank. It's going to get up in someone's face and proceed to resist. High speed, high fatigue is going to be the scout. It's going to run, it's going to get in and get out. So, higher than usual health, lower than usual fatigue and speed. So that's 2 lowered, 1 raised. Difference of 1, we get an extra build point. So +1. Now, next you'll have to determine your conquest value. Your conquest value is based on your health, your wounds, and your armor. So treat every 4 wounds you have as 1, and treat every point of armor you have as 1, and that count divided by 2 is going to determine your conquest value. At 8 wounds and no armor, that's 2. At 8 wounds and 2 armor, that's 3. Okay, so every 4, every 1, divide by 2, and then add 1 to that. Okay, that makes more sense. The absolute maximum is the potential maximums are 20 wounds and 1 armor, 16 wounds and 2 armor, 12 wounds and 3 armor. And those are the 3 that'll create a conquest value of 4. So here, 16 and 1 gives me an option. Either I can spend the build points to remain at a 3 conquest value, or I can consider my conquest value a 4 and get 2 extra build points. So we'll take the extra conquest value. So if you're playing as the the dungeon overlord, you're trying to kill the heroes, and every time you kill a specific hero, you get their conquest value. Um, to remove that from the pool that the heroes are trying to build up, which they build up by opening treasure chests, activating glyphs, doing things conducive to completing the quest. Every time you kill that hero, you remove that many conquest tokens, and if you get the pool down to 0, you win. There are a few really nasty quests with some instant Overlord victory stuff that don't care about conquest value. But the more lucrative of a target you are, the more valuable it's going to be for the Overlord to go after you. So, I'll have 2 extra points to work with, but I'm a big target. Okay, so I've got my base of 12, my extra 3 is 15 minus the 6. Leaves me 9. So, I have options. If I hold on to that 9, I can I can buy 1 skill and and have it at its highest level. Your choices for skills are will cost you anywhere from 0 to 4 to 9. It's based on whatever build points you have left over. So let's go ahead and cover each of the abilities. We have Adapt. 1 power die that rolled a blank can be changed into a surge on each attack roll you make at its basic level. At 4, you get an extra surge on each of your attack rolls. At a 9, you get 2 extra. Very good for setting off item abilities. Alright, Avenger. After another hero is killed, you may immediately move up to your speed and attack. At 4, you can move up to your speed to make 2 attacks. And at 9, you can move twice your speed and make 2 attacks. So I could have an ability where I go 6 speed and make 2 attacks out of Vengeance. The next ability is Barbarian. You have the Iron Skin ability. This is covered in a Well of Darkness, at least. Yeah, Well of Darkness introduces Iron Skin. They're immune to Aura, Bleed, Burn, Pierce, Poison, and Sorcery. In addition, all damage from Blast, Bolt, and Breath attacks reduced to 0. Also, you have plus armor. This doesn't modify your conquest value, but the downside is you cannot equip runes or armor. The more points you have available, the more armor you get. So 1, 2, or 3 for 0, 4, 9. Bard. At the start of your turn, all other heroes within 3 spaces of you gain a fatigue. At the next level, it's 6 spaces, and at the final level, it includes you. So it encourages your team to stay close to you and make use of their fatigue more often. Bodyguard. When adjacent friendly figure is attacked before the dice are rolled. So, say here. So they're about to be attacked. And I'm bodyguard. For the dice roll, spend a fatigue, swap places. And so they'd have to be adjacent, you'd have to be attacked, and I'd be swapping places by spending fatigue. And the attack will target me instead. At next level, it can be within 2 spaces. And at the highest level, I don't have to spend fatigue. It's pretty nice. Deadeye. Once per attack, you can spend one fatigue to reroll one attack die, showing a missed result. So it's going to be any of these. Because the core of each attack is either a melee, a range, or a magic base die. Hmm. With potential extra damage or extra range. Or extra potential. Unfortunately, a 1 in 6 chance of missing. Hmm. So, Deadeye, you can spend a fatigue to reroll, but you have to keep the second result. At the next level, you can ignore or reroll. If you reroll, you have to keep the second result. If you ignore it, it counts as 0 range and -1 damage. At its highest level, if you ignore it, then it's counted as 1 range and no damage. Basically, a yellow die without the heart. It's pretty good for hedging your odds. And it's that. The next ability is Defender. Enemy figures within within 3 spaces of you suffer -1 range and -1 damage. The second level increases it to 6 range, or 6 spaces. The highest level reduces the range by 2 instead. It's good for disrupting swarms of enemies that are very likely gonna take someone out by death by 1,000 cuts. Guardian. After you make an interrupt attack, which will come from having, disorder, you can pay 3 fatigue to keep your guard order. It costs less fatigue as the level goes up. That way you can constantly be on Overwatch throughout a turn. Healer, each time a glyph is activated. The glyph is a little teleport that will take you back to town, and also lead to the other ones. You can restore up to 3 wounds, split however you like, between yourself and any other heroes within 3 spaces. Each level increase for healer adds 1 to the wounds you can heal. It's a nice way to keep on going without having to go back to town. Um, not having to worry too much about going back and healing. Master, you have 1 extra die and 1 trait. Alternatively, 2 extra dice. Alternatively, 3 extra dice. It can exceed 5. Uh, although if you're using Road to Legend, you can maybe use one of the dice as a die upgrade. I have my eye on Road to Legend precisely because of this system. Scout. You will gain 2 fatigue when you declare a run action. The next level adds 1 fatigue to your stats. The highest level adds 1 to your fatigue and your speed. So if you want to be the fastest thing on the board, you want to save up points for Scout. Fear. At the start of your turn, you can spend fatigue to cause the Overlord to lose 1 threat. Uh, at the next level, it's 1 fatigue for 2 threat. At the highest level, you can spend up to 2 fatigue, and the Overlord loses twice that much threat. So you can spend 2 fatigue and cause them to lose 4. That'll shut down traps and spawns and events at the lowest level. It might even put them out of range of the power card they were going to play. Next ability is Soldier. You receive +1 damage and +2 range adjacent to a friendly figure. So working together. At the next level, +2 damage instead. The highest, uh, +1 armor as well. So good for if you know you're gonna be sticking next to someone because they're like a bodyguard or whatever. Next ability is Tactician. You receive +1 range and +1 damage to all attacks. At the next level, you have Command 1. Command adds to the range and attack of all damage made by friendly figures within 3 spaces. And then at the highest level, uh, your command ability is effective up to 6 spaces away. It's good for being a team leader of sorts to deal with deal with enemies better. The final ability is Thief. It traps costs 1 extra threat to play in response to your actions. When rolling dice to avoid or reduce the effects of trap cards, you roll 1 extra die. Usually you're having to roll power dice and certain sides to counter traps. At higher levels, it takes either 2 or 4 extra threat for the overlord to do anything about it. To actually do their trap cards. In addition, you'll roll 2 extra dice instead of 1. It's good for cutting down, or at least making less effective one of the aspects that an overlord player might rely on. Traps are pretty useful in terms of messing with the players. There's stuff like messing with doors, messing with treasure chests, uh, turning someone into a monkey, taking somebody over or whatever. There's lots of stuff that you can mess with that way. So let's go back to Pillar Nexus. Where's the card? Should write in a stat at some point. First, let's think about this. 9 points to work with. Let's say I wanted to go back and focus on something here. To go from, let's say, out of these 9, let's see, okay, see, 15 minus 6 leaves me 9 points to work with. I can use, if I use up to 5 of them to maybe specialize somewhere, that would leave me the absolute least that I need to have a second level ability. So, what ability do I want to hold on to? Do I want to go for? So, again, let's go back to Pillar Nexus in terms of lore. One of the elements corrupted by the Decimatrix, traveling through time and space. What captures this directionless drifter of a gladiator? I don't know. Barbarian doesn't seem too close. You know what? One of the things Pillar's always had going for him is the weirdest luck. So I think what I'm gonna do for Pillar is give him the ability Deadeye. So we'll see what I've got left for build points after this is over. Thing is, having the low fatigue is going to be a pain in the butt. If I retain being a generalist, then it would give me the maximum Jedi effect. So spend one fatigue. Yeah, it's weird sweat drop kind of thing for fatigue. Reroll, reroll, or ignore miss. Reroll, keep the second. Ignore one range. So we have a very chaotic kind of entity here. So that's all the build points spent. See, if I had kept one more trait down, if I could if I raised one more trait up, I could that would leave me with trying to think 8 points to work with, and then I can half specialize. So maybe two in melee, and one in magic. I don't know. There's something about generalist pillar. Kind of feels like me, you know? Very much all over the place. Very much dependent on luck, but also kind of cursed by it. So there we go. 16 health, 3 fatigue, 1 armor, 3 speed, 1 of each trade dice, 1 of each starting skill, Deadeye, fatigue, reroll, or ignore this, this. Keep second. Keep the reroll. Alright. And he is worth 4 conquest points if defeated by the Overlord. Hey. Hey, that's me in Descent. Cool. I'm gonna try him out one of these days. Now, I only have my own character figured out, but I have some other ideas that I want to try to do with these ones. There are other characters in the massive multiverse that is my headspace of all the various worlds I keep coming up with. The big one is the Through Gates Unguarded universe with characters like Resimago, Marcus Book, and Sarius Iblis. So what I might do is make characters out of them, and then maybe test these out in a custom quest idea. Um, it's just fun taking these systems for character creation and trying to figure out something creative, something fun, something interesting. I really, really want to play the ever-loving crap out of Descent for 2025. That's my goal, and I'm looking forward to it. So here's hoping that things will go well enough that I'll have that time to to actually get to play with people. So yeah, that is it uh, for this video. This is As of this video, we were at 800 videos. It's been one hell of a journey. And it's going to keep going, but one thing is going to be changing for sure. I am not announcing any more upcoming content. If it comes out, it comes out. If I'm streaming, then I'm streaming. But I'm just gonna have to fly by the seat of my pants at this point in time. So just stay tuned. More things will come eventually, but I'm not gonna promise anything right now. There's still stuff that I've said I wanted to do, and I would like to do it. Right now, everything's gonna come down to the time that I have available, the resources I have available, and my overall interest in seeing it done. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been Pillar Nexus, Ninja Gladiator. Whatever adventures you go on in life, embrace them, love them, learn from them, and have a great time. See you next time.